Yeah.
But it's definitely worse.
All right. I'd like to go ahead and call the public hearing section for the Warrenton Board of Aldermen meeting for Tuesday, June 21st, 2016 to order. Mr. Jack Anna, if you wouldn't mind coming forward.
Not quite.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. First item, or the only item I have, is a site plan approval request. On May 6, 2016, a request was filed for site plan approval for Emo's Restaurant and Retail Stores, SP 101, to be located at 609 North Highway 47. Property is zone C3 Highway Commercial. The motion for approval passed 7-0 with 2 absent and 1 vacancy at the June 2nd, 2016 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, with conditions that a lighting and landscaping plan is submitted for review and/or approval. Site plan is revised to include sanitary sewer cleanout at the property line, and the applicant would provide an approval letter from MoDOT regarding the ingress, egress to the site and the stormwater runoff into MoDOT's right-of-way. They've submitted the items that was listed in the conditions. I'd like to ask to make part of the public hearing record the municipal code by reference, my plan and zoning report, and the public hearing notices.
Any questions? Thank you, Jack. All right, at this time, we'll open it up to the public on the issue of the SP 101 for Emo's Retail. If anybody'd like to come up, please approach the podium, say your name, and we'll keep you at a 5-minute maximum. Not seeing anyone, we'll go ahead and bring the public hearing for Emo's / Retail SP 101 to a close. And we will open the Warrenton Board of Aldermen meeting for Tuesday, June 21st, 2016. If you would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First item on the agenda will be the consent agenda.
First item is the regular meeting minutes from June 7, 2016, the executive session minutes from June 7, 2016, and the work session and executive session minutes from June 14, 2016 for the budget.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda items.
I'll make it. Second.
Motion made by Alderman Schultz, seconded by Alderman Deloy. If I could have a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Miller?
Yes.
Alderman Schultz?
Yes.
Alderman Shell Harvey?
Yes.
Alderperson Casterly?
Yes.
Alderman Ock?
Yes.
Alderman Deloy.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0. Next on the agenda will be hearing from the public. We ask that you once again approach the podium, say your name, state your business, and we'll keep you at a 5-minute maximum.
Thank you, Mayor and Board of Aldermen. My name is Gary Miller. I've been a resident of Warrenton for 41 years. And I have a 3-part question. The new sidewalk project that you're doing between Ashland and Two Dudes Barbecue, what criteria do you use to determine a new sidewalk needs to be put where? And the second part is, what is the cost of that project, and is it funded by a federal grant or city taxes?
Okay. And I am going to refer partially to some of our employees over here because I am not quite sure what the criteria is we use. I believe we use it by engineering specs.
That's correct.
But
Cochran Engineering did the engineering for us for the sidewalk and lighting project. The cost I don't have off the top of my head.
But as far as
I thought it was 147. Does that sound about right?
I can't remember what the cost
It
was.
was on our budget list.
We can look at it from last month is when that bill was.
and it is a little difficult. let me just say this, there are some sidewalks within the city that we put in that are covered under grants, but not all. So I can't give you a definitive answer. That one, obviously we can, but there are some that we put in city limits that we apply for grants and they are
Is
approved.
the determination to put it, where you put it, by possible usage, or is it?
Well, if that's just a general question, it was one of the projects that I suggested the council consider, because I thought if you look at the gateway entry to our community, which is 47, you know, the old timers would tell you years and years ago how beautiful it was with trees, and you know, when you pull into the gateway of the city now in 47, you have sidewalk on one side, you have very attractive lighting on the other side of the street, so one side's there, the other side's bare. So as we looked at capital budget priorities and different things we wanted to accomplish, one of the projects that I thought would be an improvement to the city was to have the sidewalk on the east side with similar lighting, so that we'd have a more of a gateway type look as people would come into the community. So it was, you know, how often is it used? I'm not out there monitoring, I don't know. It's used, I know we've just put a stretch of sidewalk in on Wabash. It's used constantly by adults and children. We're always looking at different sidewalk projects. There is a sidewalk fund that developers put money into for different projects if they don't want to put the sidewalk in. So, and I think it's just, in my thinking, it's just a general fund project. We have so many capital dollars every year to pick different projects, and that was one of them that the council decided on. It was my suggestion we do that.
Okay, so it's not funded by federal grant?
No, not that I'm sure. We do have to stay with strict MoDOT's standards in terms of how the sidewalk is put in, because I was approached the other day by one of the number of people run around town with these motorized chairs, and he had some suggestions about the width, because when he's going down a sidewalk, somebody's coming the other direction, you know, you got issues there, but the specs are controlled really by the highway department.
Okay. I believe that answers my question. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Was there a particular area you were looking at that
No,
you have
I
concerns
just
with?
seen the construction going on there, and was just curious about how you feel about that.
Yeah, and this year's budget, we have, you know, additional sidewalk projects. I think one of the big projects the board agreed on after knocking back and forth this coming year is on Vaushall.
Engineering.
The engineering on Vaushall, so we could look at getting a sidewalk closer to the school. So we're constantly always looking at sidewalk projects that we do. Now, sidewalk we want to do, we can't do, and that to me would be the sidewalk that goes from Highway 70 north on 47, because I think that's really a critical need, but we're having a real problem working with the highway department.
Sure.
But if you're concerned about that, stick around, and in my comments, I'll address that issue. We just had a meeting, so.
Just information meeting. I just had a question, and I thought the best time to get the answers to come down and talk to you folks.
There you go. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Garrett. Thank you, Garrett.
Gary, if you do want some of the costs, we can get that to you eventually.
I think Gary's
Yeah.
pretty
I,
accurate on his.
you think that's what it was?
It's close, yeah.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah, I think
close
it's
to that.
a real good ballpark on that.
And that's just not the sidewalk, that's the lighting and everything going with it.
Okay.
All right, anyone else from the public? Like I said, there again, if you have any issues, please come up and advise who you are and let us know what's on your mind. All right, not seeing anyone, we'll bring the hearing from the public section of the agenda to a close. Next item on the agenda would be the Board of Aldermen comments. Any down here?
Not this week.
All right,
This week.
all right.
I'm good.
Next item would be the mayor's comments. Pretty happy to report the meeting we had with MoDOT in reference to the sidewalks on North 47 went very well, in my opinion. I didn't see any issues. In fact, I think we got some clarification on things. In fact, we got a little help pushed our direction to possibly look into some grants and some more options to be able to do that on a cost share basis. And like I said, it was kind of surprising, but it was very helpful in my opinion. found out that if we were to able to afford to be able to put them up there and they were widened 47 later, MoDOT reassured us that the cost for the widening would encompass tearing out those sidewalks and replacing them at their cost, not ours. And I think there was a source of contention before with a lot of the Board of Aldermen as well as myself. We're accountable to the citizens for the money that we use on projects, and that would be wasted if they were to pull that out and we'd have to replace them ourselves. So that was good news to hear from the higher ups at MoDOT that they would encompass that cost in the widening process. So we are going to explore those options and see what we come up with, and we'll report back to the board when we find those options. Next item I'd like to address is the reappointment of Brian Vogt to the Park Board for three-year term. Wow. A little excited about the sidewalks, I guess. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the mayor's appointment for Brian Vogt to the Park Board for a 3-year term. You guys try and say all that.
So maybe I probably should.
I'll second.
Motion made by Alderman Shelby, seconded by Alderman Miller. If I could have a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Schultz?
Yes.
Alderman Shell Harvey?
Yes.
Alderperson Casterly?
Yes.
Alderman Ock?
Yes.
Alderman Deloy,
Yes.
Alderman Miller?
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Can I jump back to
Sure.
Gary's question? I just pulled this up on the capital projects list, and the sidewalks, okay, the sidewalk on the east side of Highway 47, including all the lighting and the engineering, is $350,400.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right, next on the agenda would be the request to close the following roads on September 24th, 2016 for a 5K run for Slim's Journey, which is always awesome to hear you guys be still doing that. For Jeff Myers and company.
Mr. Mayor and members of the board, thank you for giving us this opportunity to speak. I'm Jeff Myers, this is my wife Julie. And in years past where I've turned and referred to her sitting in the gallery, I'm just going to have her stand up here with me so that way I don't get anything wrong. It happens every now and then. I know that's probably.
You're well trained, sir. Well trained.
So September 24th of this year, we're looking to put on our fifth annual 5K run. Slim's Journey, it's a fundraiser to raise funds for research, possibly a cure for Friedreich's ataxia. It's a disease that our son's been afflicted with, and it became a very personal project for our family to try to do something about it. Again, this year, we're looking to request a rolling roadblock of Highway M, I believe it is, and then from the beginning of the race for about 15 minutes, turns onto the side street there by Holy Rosary, goes over to Pinckney, and then down, winds around through the subdivisions, goes back up around Second up by the school. Therefore, we close Cool going northbound, so our runners can finish right there as they come back up to the Methodist Church. As in years past, we'd also be asking too if we could mark the route. We've done that with spray paint. We've got a little template. They're still out there for the past 4 years now, and they fade over time, and I go back and touch them. So we'll be contacting Truesdale to work out an agreement with them as far as the streets that the run goes through with them, and also look forward to see if we can cooperate with Chief Howdersell as far as getting it lined out for the street closures. Never an issue.
Good.
Yeah, but Cool is supposed to be both ways, the shutdown, not just one.
You usually get corrected.
So Cool to Vashel both ways.
Yeah, we shut the whole thing down. The only rolling stop is that one on.
The rolling closure
yeah.
on M2's
Yeah, and that's
UMC.
there because there's businesses along there that people can't get to, like specifically the veterinary. So we like that rolling part there.
Any questions? Chief, any issues?
None?
Never really is there? All right, thank you.
Well, as always, we appreciate everything that you guys do for each year, so thank you
You know
so
what,
much.
I've never heard anything ill or bad or complaints anytime you guys have asked, so
Thank you.
it seems like everything's always been done real professional and nice, so
Thank you.
we appreciate that.
That's all. Thank you very much.
Wise man, wise man.
We need a motion to approve the application.
Yes.
Make a motion that we approve the application for the shutdown of streets for Slim's Journey.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Ock, seconded by Alderman Deloy. Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Shell Harvey?
Yes.
Alderperson Kesslerlein?
Yes.
Alderman Ock?
Yes.
Alderman Deloy,
Yes.
Alderman Miller?
Yes.
Alderman Schultz?
Yes. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda would be the approval of temp liquor to the drink caterer to liquor license for Downtown Pub and Grill for Fall Festival 2016. Any questions?
I had several people from the public ask me, and I don't know if anybody on staff's here, are we getting a lot more participation from the food side, or do we have a feel for that? Because that was when we were talking about bunches about the fall festival and cars and bands and all that, and their comment was, is there going to be more food, more liquor than there was last time? Do we have a feel for that yet? You're on the tourist commission, Mike.
Brandy emailed me the other day to find out if I knew anybody else that would be interested in liquor and our food sales.
Mhm.
And I haven't had a chance to talk to her about it, if it, where we're at on it.
Weren't they bringing in food trucks?
We did last time.
Well,
I thought
yeah, if we, that was the idea, if we don't have enough from the local people, they were gonna open it up. Now, I don't think they have yet. I think there's, we have Knights of Columbus is gonna do food and liquor. Of course, Ron's Catering, I think, is gonna do food and liquor. Now this downtown.
Ron is just doing liquor only.
Ron's.
Ron and Jan is, because they've got two
Oh, they're doing liquor only?
things going on that day, and they just can't do the catering part.
Is I haven't looked at it, is the fair or?
The
Yes.
fair is doing liquor, and then I think is El Jimador again doing their
Margaritas.
thing.
Sounds like we got plenty of liquor, we need more food, right?
Well, that's what
I
it
think
says.
there's like 8 food vendors that are gonna be here so
Oh, really?
far.
Oh, there is? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Great.
I hadn't heard the count. I knew there were a couple others, but I hadn't heard how many for sure.
You know, last year, we had 2 food trucks, correct?
I think so.
Yeah, so I think we approached both of them. One was like a, something with cheese, and the other one was like a pastry, something that was, well, it was neat
Right.
seeing that.
I know they're concerned with, because the promoters are talking that it's possibly, and Greg's probably heard the number 5,000.
Yep.
5,000 attending downtown?
Yes.
Wow, that's great.
So-
And they said it's a strong
That's great, yeah.
They honestly said it's a strong possibility, the promoters.
So,
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And talking about showing in from a different parking location.
That's definitely happening.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Wow, that's great.
Luckily, Chief's on it and prepping.
There's a committee working on every aspect of this.
Good.
All right, well, I didn't mean to distract us from the application, but I was kind of curious what was going on, because to me, that's an exciting fall event in the community, and I think it's important we keep pushing behind it. I'll make a motion to approve the application for Downtown Pub and Grill for the Fall Festival.
I'll second.
Motion made by Alderman Ock, seconded by Alderman Schultz. Get a roll call vote, please.
Alderperson Kesslerlein?
Yes.
Alderman Ock?
Yes.
Alderman Deloy,
Yes.
Alderman Miller?
Yes.
Alderman Schultz?
Yes.
Alderman Shell Harvey?
yes.
Motion carries 6-0. All right, next on the agenda, we'll be hearing from our city attorney, Christopher Ville.
Good evening, everybody. We have on for your consideration tonight that is the product of the direction I was given at the last board meeting, Bill number 24-16, which is a moratorium on manufactured homes older than 10 years within the city boundaries, municipal boundaries of the city. I kind of go through some whereas clauses. Reference some of the surrounding cities that have the 10-year ban on mobile homes. This will obviously give us 4 months to, if you guys approve it tonight, to kind of study the issue, see what some of the ins and outs are there regarding it. It prohibits anybody from bringing a mobile home older than 10 years within the city, and as Alderman Ock pointed out last time we had previously discussed, it also prohibits water and sewer connection, which is really our primary enforcement mechanism on it for any home older than 10 years. I talked to Jack this afternoon, and if you guys approve it, we'll be sending out a letter notifying and soliciting public comments from some of the mobile home parks here in the county to see if they've got any ideas on, regulations to make sure that we're having the highest quality affordable housing for the citizens of Warrenton.
I have a question, and I don't know if this would be Jack or Guy, or Brad even. Have we taken a census of how many are already here so that we know if they're, so that they're not bringing some in at the last minute, what we talked about, the rush before and I know this was going to be in other words, it could go back to when we initially talked or set it up, but is there any kind of thought on taking a census of what's out there to make sure they're not bringing some of these in? Or
one of the things Jack brought up in our meeting right before the meeting was that having an inventory is going to be an important part of this to go out and do to see what we have there, which is kind of what we've done anytime we've had a new enforcement mechanism in place. So depending on what you guys do tonight, that was going to be something we talked to Terry about, is figuring out a way to inventory it. Now, it's very difficult because it's going to be very difficult to determine without some cooperation what in the city is older than 10 years. And what Jack kind of hypothesized was really you have to take an inventory of all the mobile homes and then check periodically to see what's new and then focus on that new one. So that was, I think that'll be, is that pretty accurate, Jack?
Yes,
about
sir.
what we discussed? And that'll be kind of what we'll discuss with Terry about putting that together. And I think that's going to be one of the things that we discuss big picture wise is how do you enforce this? And we've kicked this idea around before, and like Alderman Ock said, and the water and sewer is kind of our, mechanism to really try to enforce that. So, that's why, typically we do a 90-day moratorium. We're extending this an extra 30 days just because we think it's going to take some time to really figure out something that works. In Wright City, that you're required to get a permit for anything older than 10 years. But once again, how do you know if it's older than 10 years?
well, I guess that's a term I should have used, do an inventory rather than a census type thing, but
It's the same thing, but I think, yeah, an inventory of what we have.
I mean, to that point, Mike, I brought this up last meeting because I was approached by a couple people on zoning who had mentioned this had been a discussion topic before, and they were also approached by a couple business people in town who had noticed that there had been seemingly an increase in the number of mobile homes that look older in nature coming to the community, and they had expressed a concern. So I think this is important that since we got a 4-month period, we get this as soon as we can on the P&Z agenda so they can start looking at and assessing this, because there are a number of issues that they've talked about, not just relative to older mobile homes, but relative to how do you maintain the quality of properties in your neighborhood and all that type of stuff. So I think this is the first piece we try to bite off and take a serious look at it, and hopefully get some public input from the community, because I mean, it's really, has a statement about what your community looks like in a lot of different ways, as any housing standard does. So I think this is something that's, to me, it's very important that we take the moratorium, we stop and take a look at it, and if we don't have an issue, we don't have an issue, but if we do have an issue, then we can adjust it.
Absolutely.
Any other questions or comments? All right. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda will be hearing from our finance manager, Gabrielle Curry.
Good evening.
Good evening.
The first item I have is the admin reports.
There were 8 public meetings in the month of May, 3 employee accidents that, one was a dump truck backed into a city vehicle, one, a police car was hit by someone who ran a red light, and the other one was a police car backed into mailboxes, which all 3 had claims. There were 3 interviews conducted, 1 new hire, which was in the grounds maintenance department, a seasonal position. There was 1 safety committee meeting and 21 safety talk trainings.
I asked Terry, and Gabriel answered for me since Terry's on vacation, about the number of accidents, because year-to-date there's 4, last month there was 3, so you get this big jump. The other thing was, are the issues that would need some work comp consideration or some training, and so that's kind of why she included that in the report. Thank you.
Any questions or comments?
No.
All right.
Okay, my next item is just some highlights from the budget, the 2016-2017. There's an ordinance on that will adopt the budget, so I'm just going to hit a few points. On the revenue side, projected revenues for the general fund were $5.2 million. Total sales taxes are projected at $2.7 million, which is allocated to both the general fund and the capital sales tax fund, which includes a 3% increase over current year collections. The revenues for the water sewer fund are $3.1 million. Of this, $3 million is projected for revenues related to water and sewer consumption, which includes a 4% increase in water and sewer rates. Real estate and personal property tax revenues are projected to increase 4% to $457,000, which $288,000 is allocated to general fund and $169,000 is allocated to the park fund. On the operating expense side, total operating expense for the general fund is projected at $4.6 million, which does not include capital or debt service. The operating expense for the water sewer fund are projected at $1.3 million, again excluding capital and debt service. Payroll, which includes both the performance-based rate increases and merit increases, equate to 3.1% increase to the payroll budget. And then there's also included the increase in entry-level pay rates in an effort to attract and retain qualified applicants. There's a 17% decrease in health insurance premiums projected. For capital, the capital for the 16-17 budget year is projected at $12.6 million, which includes $9.5 million for several projects that were funded but were not completed in the prior fiscal year. One of those being the Hickory Lick Road Replacement Project, which is estimated cost $1,089,000. And then there were some water line replacements for $641,000, 2 of which required boring under Interstate 70. For the Hickory Lick, there are grant reimbursements totaling $654,000 included. On the Phase 1 wastewater system improvement project, there's remaining construction and engineering of $6.7 million, and also preliminary engineering for Phase 2 of that project at $350,000, which will be financed from revenue bond proceeds. And then we also included the preliminary engineering and soil testing, estimated to cost $300,000 for the new indoor-outdoor pool park facility that will be located behind Greene Park, and also land preparation and roadway improvements of $584,000 for that project. For debt service, the total debt service in the budget is $1.3 million, which consists of principal and interest for the year, including $584,000 for the wastewater system improvement project. So, in a nutshell, that's what we've got.
In a nutshell.
You guys have any questions about that?
Well, first of all, I mentioned it after the budget meeting. I wanted to thank you and Terry and the rest of the department heads for putting together the budget. It's never a fun process because there's always other things that need to get done, that there's other flames in the fire. And so I appreciate the time and effort that was put in, and the response when we had questions or suggestions on making changes. To me, this is kind of, exciting year. I think the public needs to realize it. I mean, we're actually have purchased the ground for the new pool park area, and we're starting moving in that direction. We talked about hopefully the old pool, make it 2 more years, and then we'll be in a position where we can open up the new park and the new pool, which is exciting. There's a number of projects in my ward that I'm particularly excited about, and one is that for a number of years we needed to improve the streets along Roosevelt, I think from Ashland to, I'm going to get this all screwed up now. There's a section of Roosevelt that heads down toward Highway 40, Highway 70, Service Road, and it's where a lot of new homes came in, and we had promised the property owners many years ago that we were going to take care of the ditches and all that in the area, and we're finally getting that project, and that's pretty exciting to see that happening, because my overall concept is we go into the older sections of town and we slowly improve them with curb and gutter so that they are very much like newer sections of town. So that's the first piece we're biting off in that area. So to me personally, that's very exciting to see that happening. Another thing that I think that I'm excited about is we've had a number of complaints for a number of years about water runoff issues on the properties behind Walmart to the north of Walmart, and we're actually taking a look at those projects this year and hopefully can get some stuff done to accomplish some of those water runoff issues and solve those. So those are big capital projects, but they really are things that people from the public have come up and requested for a period of time, and so I'm really happy that we were able to work those in the budget this year.
Any comments? Questions?
Gary summed it up for us pretty good, thank you.
So I would make a motion to, or we approve the budget, we do it through the ordinance at the end of the meeting, you're right. Should have known that after all these years, but thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gail.
All right, next on the agenda, be hearing from our zoning officer and building commissioner, Jack Hanna.
First thing I have is my monthly building and code enforcement report. And as requested, was going to point out 1 or 2 items that may be of interest. You notice we've issued 35 courtesy notices for weeds. That time of the year, that number of spikes every year, pretty consistent.
So they having good luck getting it cleaned up, though? I mean, the whole purpose is to get it cleaned up, not to get tickled.
Since we've started the courtesy notice policy and procedure, I would say at least 80% gets resolved before it becomes a notice of violation. So
Good.
That's
what we want.
Yeah, that was the original goal.
That's good news.
We do have some frequent flyers that they're gonna get the NOV, you know, when you see their name, so.
Yeah.
But the majority, by far, the majority have responded to it, I would say. The other thing I'd mentioned last month, but to bring it up again, year-to-date, we have 6 starts for new residential single-family, which is double from last year. That's pretty exciting, and I've spoke with an architect. I believe we're going to have another new start coming here shortly. He's working on getting some plans together. So that's pretty interesting. And the only other thing is, I'm pretty sure you're all aware, but we've lost one of our code enforcement officers. His last day was at the beginning of May. He got hurt and he decided not to come back to work. So we are looking for another part-time code enforcement officer.
Any questions or comments?
No, my only comment, I'm talking too much, I don't feel like go home, but I think the public needs to realize that the city's used this practice of giving courtesy notices for a while now. You know, typically when people come to you and they're frustrated because their neighbor's grass needs to be cut, then why can't the city take care of this? The procedure is not to go out and write a ticket right away. The procedure is to give a courtesy notice, and if they don't respond in a certain time period, then the city will go ahead and take further action. And sometimes if you're a property owner next to one of these locations, it's a little frustrating because you want to see quicker action, but I think the courtesy notice is probably a more humane or fair thing to do, and that's kind of what we try to practice on a lot of these enforcement areas, and I think the public needs to realize that.
And most of the time, if they call and they have a specific location, I keep my chart hanging right there on the wall, and Terry has one. that it really takes the wind out of the sail if instantly you can say, yeah, there was a courtesy notice wrote on this date, it's being processed, that they seem to respond to that they know we are taking action.
Are there different time frames on the courtesy notices in reference to like weeds or trash? Like different
The standard, I'm trying to be fair to everybody, we usually give a week. If it's anything that's a hazard or safety, then we can make it as short as, that 12 hours or 24 hours, but normally on a weeds, you give them a week to get it resolved.
Any other questions or comments? All right.
Next item I have is a subdivision record plat approval request. Proposed subdivision record plat approval for Dave's subdivision, SUBD 55, to be located at 508 West Veterans Memorial Parkway. Property is zone C3, highway commercial. Motion for approval passed 7-0 with 2 absent and 1 vacancy at the June 2nd, 2016 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, with the condition to include waiving the submission and our approval of the stormwater management plan at this time. And what that involved is we received a written request from the applicant. There's no site improvements are proposed as part of this subdivision approval request. Proposed lot 1 is already developed and proposed lot 2 is vacant ground. So the applicant submitted a written request that the stormwater management plan be waived at this time and be addressed by the future owner of proposed lot 2 when they're ready to develop the proposed lot 2 and or submit for a site plan approval. So they're basically just splitting the parcel. They're not splitting it to make improvements at this time. So they were hoping, they requested that the stormwater would be waived at this time, and Planning and Zoning Commission did include that in their motion for approval.
Any questions or comments?
Just looking it over.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was at the zoning meeting. I think it's a pretty straightforward request. If you own a large piece of property, part of it's developed, and you want to split that off so you can further sell it or redevelop it, you have to come in and get that property split, and then you have to deal with this whole question about water and sewer runoff issues. And since nothing further is going to be developed on it at this point in time, I think that was a reasonable position for the P&Z to take to not require that at this point in time.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I'm making a motion we accept it.
Okay. Entertain a motion to approve Dave's subdivision SUBD-55.
So move.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Miller, second by Alderman Shelby. Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Ock?
Yes.
Alderman Deloy,
Yes.
Alderman Miller?
Yes.
Alderman Schultz?
Yes.
Alderman Shell Harvey?
Yes.
Alderperson Casterly?
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Next item I have is a site plan approval request for the Emo's Restaurant and Retail Stores, SP 101, to be located at 609 North Highway 47. Property is zone C3, highway commercial. Motion for approval passed 7-0 with 2 absent and 1 vacancy at the June 2nd, 2016 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, with conditions that the lighting and landscaping plan is submitted for review and/or approval. Site plan is revised to include a sanitary sewer cleanout at the property line, and the applicant provide an approval letter from MoDOT regarding the ingress, egress to the site and stormwater runoff in the MoDOT's right-of-way. And the items have been submitted.
Any questions?
Again, I, as representative of P&Z, I was at the meeting, and it's kind of exciting because it's, for people in the public who are familiar with, this is really the lot on the southwest corner of 47 and Old Highway 40, across from Walgreens, and we're going to get a new building in there eventually, and possibly 3 retail or 3 businesses will come into the location. The building that the map that they presented showing the layout of the building was really very attractive, and I think it's going to be a great addition to the community. I thought that they talked about probably not starting a construction though until sometime either later in the fall or first of next spring. So it'll probably sit there for some time period before they actually start doing the construction. But in the meantime, I guess you can go to that tent and buy fireworks. on that location. As you can on many other locations.
But
in
you
town.
can't spend the night in the camper, I noticed.
That is true.
So I think it's a great project, exciting to see the commitment that's being made there, so
I think too, it's a good-looking building, too.
yeah, it's a great looking building
Yeah.
if you get a chance to see the drawings.
Just make sure the sign is put up right.
I make a motion.
Oh,
We gotta do that later, I think, don't we?
No.
No.
We'll entertain a motion to approve the site plan for Emos/retail for SP 101.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion made by Alderman Miller, seconded by Alderman Schultz. Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Deloy,
Yes.
Alderman Miller,
Yes.
Alderman Schultz,
Yes.
Alderman Shell Harvey,
Yes.
Alderperson Casterly,
Yes.
Alderman Ock.
yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
That's it, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shane.
Next on the agenda, we'll be hearing from Maintenance and Grounds Director Brad Bridger.
Good evening, Board and Mayor. You have my monthly report for May. Just been doing the usual, a lot of maintenance, a lot of grass cutting, and a lot of trimming.
A little dusty out there though, huh? Dusty?
It's not too bad. I mean, well, this little rain helped today, but yeah, it's been quite, depends on where you're mowing at, which way the wind's blowing.
The only comment I have, Brad, is thanks for the concert in the park the other night. The grounds looked great. I tell you, I actually met a couple there that have lived in the city, I think they said 7 years. They did not know that park was there. So,
Really?
so I don't know how we promote it any more than we do, but they definitely commented that, that.
Yeah, it was a nice turnout to see the cheerleaders there serving the food.
Yeah.
I think that was a big plus for everybody. I think they did a pretty fair job of
Yeah, I hope they did.
selling. I hope they get out a little bit more and advertise a little bit more, that more people will show up. Kind of start to be like Washington's, where they have the different people come in and food and stuff. That was really. Apparently, it was a pretty good turnout. I think Larry said there was about 80. He counted 80 people there, I believe, at one time there.
I didn't count, but
so.
But it was, again, I would like to see a better turnout, especially now that we have the food and everything. Hopefully, but again, like I said, the park looked.
Well,
great,
we always try to
so.
help, make it look good for it, because
Oh, one question I did have the one light pole there.
Those are on the budget. Those are the new ones that are included.
The one's a little rusty. If you don't want to lean on it too hard.
No, there's a couple of them there that,
Okay.
So, well,
those are in the budget there. That's
Okay,
all
thank
approved.
you.
well, that's the follow-up question I had, is that when I mentioned to the guys who are the tennis players, they were excited about the new lights in the court, so their first question was when.
When?
It wasn't thank you, it was when.
When, right.
So, do you have an idea when we're addressing all those lights in the park, or?
I'll have to turn over that to Gab whenever she'll give me the money, so that's
okay.
We haven't divvied up the whole quarters yet.
Yeah.
Oh, so we gotta
We have to
call
go
her.
beg. We have to go beg now to her to get
All
them,
right.
see who comes in.
All the money's not available in July, so. we just
I
want to
understand.
There's no weight on your shoulders right now.
There's
is
something
there,
called
Gabe?
cash flow.
Oh, the money's not available in July?
Yeah, I don't understand that.
They need to slow their tempo down.
I could slow the tempo about $1 million if you.
Oh, now stop.
There we go.
Here we go again.
We're going to name it after you.
No.
I think that would be like the most awesome thing.
The most awful thing. Most awful thing.
At least the cutoff, we could make it the Gary Ock cutoff.
Well,
We could do that.
let's move on, folks.
Well, you brought it up. You brought it up.
And I'll keep bringing it up till the project's over. so.
And we'll keep naming it.
I know.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Brad. Sorry. Any other questions or comments? All right. Next on the agenda is hearing from Public Works Director Guy Jeevers.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. You have a monthly report and a couple of highlights. Lakeview stormwater is completed. We'll have to go back in and touch up some grass where it needs to be, where it didn't grow. Sidewalk on the walking bridge had buckled, so we had to tear that out and fix that. The CCR report is out. That's Consumer Annual Water Quality Report, and we sent that out on the bills with a link to DNR to get it, the report, and it's also here at City Hall in the upper lobby and lower lobby. Changed out 52 water meters, and we also readjusted our hours for the yard waste. So Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, it'll be open from 8 a.m. and you can pick up the key at 4:15, but it has to be back at 5. And we also made Tuesday from 8 a.m. to 5:15, and the key has to be back by 6. So we extended the hours a little bit, and I think Tuesday's going to help out for people getting off work. They can come by, pick the key up, do what they need to do, and still get it back here at 6 o'clock. You have any questions?
Is this report format on the screens here new?
I'm sorry?
Looks like you laid out a bunch of different categories under Public Works. It looks like a new format. Or is that there before and I just haven't seen it? Because, I mean, to me, it was
my spreadsheet,
yeah.
We changed that a couple months ago.
Okay. Well, maybe it just didn't jump out to me. Because it was kind of interesting, because I noticed, there's a lot of different categories. The one that I thought was kind of interesting was the number of high usage calls that we get in, or year to date, we've had 190 high usage calls, which I assume means that those are situations where we do a reading and the usage is particularly high, and so it may indicate there's an issue. Is that what that is?
Yes, and it's usually 50% will trigger it, and sometimes it's just a phone call where somebody says, yeah, I filled my pool a little bit, or I had company, or somebody's out of town and they're gone for a month or 3 weeks, and their water didn't use their whole lot of water that month, but then they come back and the water jumps back up to normal. That's going to kick a red flag. So we'll send out an automatic call, or we go through it, the staff goes through it and picks out what's above 50%, and then it'll do an automatic call, and then we'll contact people that call back. We'll contact and try to walk through it, see if they got a toilet running or water's outside running on the ground. And we catch some of them that say, oh my gosh, I didn't know what's going on, and it could be their toilet running. Well, toilet running and the float sticks uses a lot of water. So now their water bill is going to be high, and we're not giving a credit for the water, we're giving a credit for the sewer. So if your sewer toilet was running, you're not going to get a credit for that because it went in the ground. But if somebody left a spigot on outside their hose, and we go out and verify, yeah, the ground's wet and the hose has been running for the last 2 days, we can issue a sewer credit for that, and that'll be an average is what it does. Probably 80% of them we can take care of over the phone. Most of them are, yeah, I had company. Holidays are big. And then if you got a longer week, a longer read cycle too, that throws a couple of them out there.
Because I know those are some of the most hard things to deal with is when you have somebody come up to the podium here and they have an extremely high water usage bill and they were totally unaware of it. They're asking for credits or compensation or consideration, and we just have to stay with the policy. So when you see 190 notices and we get very, very few people up here, it means I think we're responding pretty well to those concerns that people have.
It's working out good. To dial my calls, it's automatic. Well, not automatic. We have to sit there and enter all of them in there. And then when we look at the sheet and when it's ready to go, and we make sure we have enough staff on hand, and we don't do it at lunchtime, then we hit the button. And once you hit that button, then the phone lights up. So then we got somebody downstairs, they're sending them downstairs, and then we're writing our list and going through, and then we call back. It takes about, 2 days to go through them all.
The other thing I had for you, and question, I think I have an answer on it, but if you look at the top of the production report for the water produced at the water towers, I mean, we're way down in water production this year compared to where we were last year for similar periods. I mean, you're looking at May, 20,000 gallons. Last year for May, almost 24,000 gallons. So we're way down. So kind of talked to Gabrielle about this, and she thought maybe we were having some meter reading issues at the wells.
We have in the budget some new meters for the wells, and what happened, to get a real good reading on the meter, especially a big meter, you need 3 foot of straight pipe, 4 foot behind it. That way you don't get turbulence running through there and causing the meter to spin not correctly. They make different types of meter that you can bolt onto it, and it'll shoot a sonar through it and pick up the reading that way. So we have money in the budget to pick up our 2 major wells to see if we can clean that up.
Yeah, because if you look at the readings, every month this year has been significantly lower than going back a year or two.
Right.
Which would seem to think you were using less water, but that may not be the case.
And then with the meter, realistically, a meter doesn't speed up as it gets older. It slows down.
Right.
That's why nobody likes to see a new meter in their house. We installed 52 of them last month.
Thanks.
So we'll have 52 complaints.
Good possibility, huh?
We've had those before.
New meter and
Why did
5% increase.
why did it double or? Well,
Any other questions?
Not for me.
no.
Nope.
He's gonna address it next.
Next item I have then is, somebody requested some information on the steps, and in your packet, we looked at that in 2012, when the city went through and repaved that section of road. Nothing was changed from the way it was to the way it is right now. You can look at the pictures from Catch the Glow, and the curve is this, where the steps are, is the same as what it was when we finished paving.
So I guess if you're saying that really if nothing's changed, it still doesn't negate the fact that there is an issue there that probably should be addressed somehow. Maybe people haven't complained or people haven't fallen there in the past, but if there's a current issue, is that something we should address?
What I understood, and that at one time, we'll take the sidewalk out and replace this, and then we won't replace it, we remove the concrete, and then the owners are responsible for replacing the concrete. I was told that the city took the steps out, owners did the steps. The city did not put them steps in. And to raise the asphalt up, to make it level, now you're gonna direct the water just by looking, going towards the other side of the street. There's not enough room to put a pipe for the water to run through there.
Okay, Guy, on page 14 of 14, and I don't know, maybe this is where where Fred's main question is coming in, is you have the asphalt going, I don't know, what is that, a foot maybe from the curb on one section, then you've got the asphalt going all the way to the curb and steps, and then then you get down in front of the old Nieberg building. It looks like it's a foot away from the curb, and again, is there a reason for that? I think maybe that's what Fred was.
You talk about that little stretch of concrete?
Yes.
Got a little curve on that right set of steps there. Sticks out about 5, 6
The
inches.
curb, but the asphalt doesn't go all the way to it there.
That's the issue, that's a trip hazard.
Huh?
That's the trip hazard there, that little section sticking out about this far.
You know,
The
why is it there
curve,
and
but
it's
what
not
he's,
down
but
below?
I think what his issue was, he mentioned, could the city come and put some asphalt
Over the top of that.
over top the concrete there to bring that up a
That
little?
ain't the trip hazard. The trip hazard, the step sitting on top of the curb.
What it is, that's a 16-inch step. If, when they laid them in, they should have went back to 10-inch, and they wouldn't have had that problem there. It would have been a gradual step up. But when
Okay,
they
then-
did it, they made the steps they should have either brought it all the way out to the edge of the curb and stopped it there. I mean, instead of setting it there. We were looking at that when they were doing it. It was kind of, I mean, and this is just my opinion. It's nothing to do with Guy, but I could see right then that first step is way over, I mean, it's like that tall.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
it
I
should have
could-
been set back. They should have put the steps instead of making them so wide, and why they left the part
The old
there,
curve.
because they did it farther out too. I mean, you know, it's whoever put the steps in should have stepped it out, you know, put normal, you know, 10-inch steps or 11-inch steps, it would have came out right. This way, they just, instead of putting 4 steps in, they only went with 3, which would have been, and if it's, the rise on them is a little taller too, they went in with a 6-inch, they could have got it.
And I understand that, but I also think some of the question is from one or two of the aldermen is, why is that gapping there of that concrete where it's not gapped?
That's the old
further
curve.
down?
That's the old
That's the old curve,
But I
goes all the way
understand,
down.
if it followed all the way down, why did they
Look
look
at
at
the
the
asphalt.
spacing? There's 2 separate spacing with asphalt in between. It should have been all the way down with the curving, why was it not? Why was it left two separate spots
There's
again?
section missing.
Because some of that came out. That's old curbing and stuff's been coming out. What you see up there goes all the way up past Stewart's.
What you can't
What's in
see
front
on
of
the picture,
Nieberg's was old and deteriorated and came out.
what you can't see from the picture though, is that is the asphalt that's coming up to that curbing that they're talking about, is that on the same level? In other words, I
This is
think
the
if
same
you
level
want to take
here.
that asphalt all the way to that old curb, if that's what you're suggesting, but if it's on the same level, you'd have to be elevating the asphalt to
You
do
gotta raise
that.
the asphalt up to get to the curb.
Right, see, but I mean, my point is, if that old curb is sitting there and the street's at the same level, well, I don't know how you fix that by just putting more asphalt to the curb. I don't know if it's gonna fix that. I understand what you're saying, but I don't see that.
Yeah, I don't say that it's gonna fix it, but I think that was, he was thinking that was the quick fix to it, that,
All the way down, if you would know.
there, yeah.
The very last one.
Yeah, you can see where the curve is out there. Okay.
Go down one more. There you go.
Yeah, you can see, it looks like from the picture
There's a
that you're
dip in
showing, there is a little bit of a drop down to that old concrete curb. It doesn't look like much. It looks like there is, but I don't know if that's not gonna fix the problem on the high step.
The problem is that the steps ain't, the steps come down and they set it on top of the original curve that was there
Right.
and pulled it back.
They should have all been started street level.
You can see
It should have been laid flat where the curb is.
They should have pulled it, they should have pulled, where you see where the railing is on top? Where that beginning of that step is, they should have pulled that back to where the end of the step is and worked its way down that way.
Okay, so is there anything we can do to fix this? I mean, it sounds like there's nothing that can be done? That makes any sense?
If you fill it in with asphalt, I don't know which way the water runs down the hill, if it's gonna shoot it across the other side.
And cause flooding over on the other side.
Well, not so much.
I mean, I don't know without
Flooding or a higher
getting it,
run.
shoot it with a grade to see if it's gonna run down that way, but all that stormwater is running down that way. You can't put a grate there, otherwise you're gonna put all stormwater down through the whole road.
And there is a grate down at the end of the, or at the corner.
Yeah, but
But I was just going back to, I think that was Fred's comment, was that why can't we just put a little, fill it in with more asphalt there to, he thought that was the quick fix, I think, when he made his comments in here
That's what I
last.
think too, Mike, I agree with you. I think he's just talking about that gap that's in between
But that may
the
not-
asphalt and the curb.
That may not do it, but I think that was what his comment was. could the city do some asphalt work?
See where the
If we can't, that's
asphalt
fine.
stops, Guy, or is that the same, do you recall, is that the same elevation? See where the leaves are laying in there?
No,
If you look
it's
at the
a,
picture she's got up on the screen here,
Well,
talking about that gap there.
Yeah.
see where the leaves are, and
There's
that's
a-
concrete, and then the asphalt's away from it?
and maybe go up about 1 or 2 pictures because it shows the elevation a little better on that area. See that right there? See the gapping on
So
on the
he's saying
screen?
just run the.
So he's just saying fill that little, where that concrete is on the street, to fill that in with asphalt.
That's what he's saying.
That's
Well,
what I think
that's what I'm
Fred
thinking he's
thought was a
saying.
quick fix to it.
But
Now,
it ain't fixing nothing, you still
well,
got
you
that
have
step.
to, that's what you have to, I think, that's the issue you have to address with Fred then. Because I think that's from what I understood when he talked, he was thinking that would be a quick fix to it. So that's what you have to probably address. and it
I
won't
think your
fix-
better idea would be to set a farm out on front of that curb, fill it in with concrete the way it should have been, instead of using that as to set their farms on.
But you
And,
can't,
and you would have that as one bigger step. And that, because what they're tripping on is the curb, the old curb where the original step was at. That was the original step. And then when they just put their concrete on top of the old step and stepped it up, trying to get by with a quick fix there to, it was easier doing that than tearing all that out. So they just set their farms on top of the old one. Well, when they did that, if they would have came all the way out to the curb, you wouldn't have had that problem running all the way down there. You got one step, because really what's on this end and on the other end by them flower boxes, I don't know why they shouldn't, that was why they even poured that, because you can't even step those, because those are in front of the flower boxes.
Go back.
So what you're saying
go
is
back
build
to-
another step, Brad?
No, just add on to this curb right here.
Which picture you want?
This is fine.
That's
If they just, all we gotta do is set a farm in front of this and make this the step. Go back to one more that shows the top of the view of it. Yeah, right here. See how they set the farm on top of the step?
Okay, yeah.
This was the old step.
All right.
Like a little 3
So when they poured the steps, they poured them wrong. They should have either stepped these in where this should have been cut in half, should have been the normal step, and then stepped them up.
Okay.
Instead of coming in that top step where they made it out, that should have been the last step, and then you would have had your handrail stepping right up on the sidewalk. Well, when they brought everything back this way, they screwed themselves. So what they should do is go back in here, set a farm up setting on this, coming up, tie onto this, and that way you've got your step right when you come off the street. You gotta have a step.
So if
Okay,
he,
go back one more picture.
so if he extends the sidewalk further toward
That
the
mu-
street
2
by
inches.
this
That one,
much.
okay, now-
then that
He
old
eliminates
curve's
all the
gone.
stuff.
See, if you'll look to the left side of that picture where the steps are there, that's what it looks like they did there.
Well, yeah, because there wasn't any steps there.
There wasn't a curb there?
There
Oh, there wasn't
wasn't
any
any-
steps, okay.
There wasn't any steps, so they did that right where the other one was where the original steps were at.
Okay,
They added the second one in there.
okay.
So if he extends out toward the street.
To the
3 or
curb.
4 inches.
Yeah,
to
on
cover
the-
that old, that's the trip area, that'll take care of it.
That's what everybody's tripping on, because they step up and see the difference in the color. They think, oh, that's a step. When they do, they hit that and then they fall.
Isn't that
This way
also
they
a
know they're
taller
gonna.
step, Brad?
Huh?
Isn't that also a taller step on that end?
Yeah, on that far end, yeah.
That's probably that high, isn't it?
Yeah, you
Pretty
can-
much. I mean, yeah, when they come down there, they should have lowered it down
Should have put it
to
on
it.
the street like it did on the other one.
Right.
So that's what you think that would fix it?
Well,
fixing the
That's
step.
right.
if you do
Fixes it.
that, it'll fix it, but that doesn't get rid of the fact that the step on the far right is gonna be significantly higher than a normal step up. That's still neat.
Yeah, I know. Well, I know, they're gonna saw out that bottom here and redo the whole thing. I'll tear the whole steps out and do it right.
Well, I
So
mean,
are we saying we're gonna have to hire an engineer to look at this? or-
I think we need to go back and talk to Fred, and I mean, I'll volunteer myself to go back and sit out there
Yeah,
with
I'll
him.
sit out there and talk to Fred, but with you.
well, I mean, typically, if a person comes to the city and says, I got a problem with a sidewalk, and the city says, well, if you fix it at your cost, we'll help you with the tear out, or we'll haul off the old step. That's typically the process. So if he were to say, well, okay, I recognize my sidewalk was, my steps were poured wrong, then the city would assume the cost of hauling off the old sidewalk, but he would have the cost of actually replacing the steps, right?
That's correct.
I think we have a written policy pursuant to that, Alderman Ock.
What was
With
Fred's
scheduled
agreement
time,
10 years ago, or whatever he did, when he was here and made the statement, when he came and put his steps in?
It was pursuant to that written policy. I remember when he did it. It was, we tore it out, and Fred, they paid to replace it. It was under that policy.
But we didn't give them any engineering on
No.
how to do it, that's the property
No,
owner's
we
responsibility.
did the tear out on it. That was
Right.
our agreement on the commercial sidewalks,
Right.
to try to encourage them to upgrade them.
I mean, it seems like there's a gap here, guys, but whatever. Okay.
Well, I mean, I don't know how to fix the gap. I mean, I think we should seriously look at fixing the gap. It doesn't make any sense to throw our hands up. But how do we fix this issue that people are following?
I agree.
You put a railing up and block it till everybody walks down to where the steps are right?
I just don't think we're gonna get an answer tonight. I think it's gonna be a little more talking and going back to the drawing board with the owner and explaining a little more of the ordinance and having to go through it. And maybe it'll behoove us, if any of us can go out there and take a look ourselves in person rather than photographs, to see if, maybe even take a ruler out there and see how big of a dip that is on the gap, because I don't know how much that is. I can see there's a gap and a differential in height there by picture, but it could be 6 inches, it could be 3 inches by picture. You can't tell the depth by picture.
Well, I mean, from my experience going there, it's a pretty significant step up.
It is, I've tripped on
Yeah, it's higher than what a normal step would be like.
Any more questions or comments? I mean, I think honestly, we're not gonna resolve that one tonight,
No, obviously.
so.
Well, then let's put it on the agenda next time and see if staff can give us some different direction or additional information to help us.
Excuse me.
You're excused.
you can't have that door sit there and shoot it across the street. You're putting a load of mix in there. But I don't know what it's gonna do.
Any more comments or questions on that one?
No, sir.
Any more questions or comments? No. All right. I think there may be a couple of us to go up and talk to Fred, and then we'll actually.
Well, let me know if you want me to go
guys.
with you, I'll be more than happy to
Yeah,
go.
we may end up doing that, and,
It's probably a good idea.
Yeah, Guy needs to go with you.
so,
I mean, if we can resolve something,
well, we need to get a hold of Fred and see what, I'm sure he's available anytime, but let's make
you
sure
just let me know and
that he doesn't have any personal issues going or something else that he's not available, and then we'll get a hold of you and we'll set up a time. All right. Anything else, guys?
that's all I have.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda, we'll be hearing from Chief of Police Greg Hoddyshaw.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. So the only thing I have this evening is our monthly report from May. And before Alderman Ock asks the question, I'll go ahead and answer the question. I'm going to call this difference in the last 3 months an anomaly. It's, and what I'm talking about is the difference in the number of calls between 2015 and 2016. The difference there is coincidental with us changing over to ITI from Global. And I think that what's going on is dispatch really is the catalyst for creating the calls on our side. And I think that the way it used to be under Global, the calls automatically flowed across with no further interaction on dispatch's part. Now, however, they actually have to create a call for each one of our calls, and I don't think they're doing that on all of them. And I'm having a difficult time trying to track down where that is, so it's kind of a work in progress to try to find that. I think a lot of them are on our extra patrols and our some of the proactive things that we're doing. So I think we're suffering on those numbers. But generally speaking, the call volume is actually staying about the same, and the guys are still doing the same things that they have been.
It's a tracking issue within
In
the software.
in Alderman Ock's defense, I was going to ask the same question.
Yeah, well, I mean, it sticks out like a sore thumb, but, generally.
Actually, I wasn't going to ask the question because I figured he'd say, well, it's turnover of staff, so I thought, I'm going to ask it.
No, and it's something that I've been looking
Right.
at ever since ITI came on board. I'm like, okay, something happened here, what is it?
Yeah, and for clarification for people in the audience, the calls in May of this year were 2,497. Last year, for the same period, was 3,345 calls. That's a significant drop-off in the number
Right.
of calls. So the question is, why is there this drop-off in the number of calls? Are we all of a sudden a nicer town with fewer criminals or something, you know what I mean? So
Well,
there's got to be
yeah.
some explanation for it.
And that's why I'm going to stick with the terminology anomaly, because it's not, the guys are still doing the things that they're doing.
Right.
It's just not getting logged the same way in the computer system.
I kind of like Alderman Ock's response. Obviously, last year we made a point, and this year they made it. I kind of like that.
Okay, I'll try to sell that.
So much for fiction.
Right.
But is it an anomaly in the sense that we're not logging, that they're being logged out of dispatch?
Yeah, so,
Out of
call,
911 dispatch center, right?
right, and so a call comes in over there, or our officers do something proactive, and the dispatchers are supposed to enter that into the computer system, and then, once that call is closed out, they're supposed to create an actual report, if you will, on their end, which then would flow across to our database.
Okay.
And I don't think they're, in some cases, doing the extra button push to make that happen.
Or sometimes, and I'm not sure, I mean, you've been way more involved than I have on this, but it's sometimes on pre-select areas where they have to select certain things. If they don't have a classification, they don't put it down.
Yeah, and some of that has been cleaned up, but, a lot of it is just this whole, because they actually have to create a report or a call to make it flow over to our database. So I'm not really sure how to fix it, but it's kind of a work in progress.
Call for service number,
So for
basically.
those of us who are up for election next April, we can't use this lower report number as a reason.
Oh, yeah, we can.
Because since we've been on the board, calls
Things
are
have
down,
gone
the
better.
city's cleaner, things are better. We can't
Yeah,
use that.
I would be hesitant to use that.
Oh,
I think
okay,
it's
all
an
right.
anomaly, and I don't think we have an
You're not sure of that.
explanation, so, I mean, it could be one theory that we could use.
It's numbers, it's right there, it's on paper, it's gotta be right.
Right. Anyway, just a couple of other things about the report. We've got, pretty decent ride-along numbers with 6
Yeah.
participants last month.
What was that all about?
I don't know. I guess with
Ride 4
the
times?
warmer months, it kind of brings more people out.
Oh,
But
that's awesome.
it gives me an opportunity to, once again, hawk that program and encourage people to come out and see what the police department is doing. It's a really good opportunity to, first of all, meet an officer and have some pretty good interaction with an officer, but secondly, to really see how professional the department is and come out and see what they're doing on a daily basis instead of just a bunch of random numbers on a page.
So all 6 of those were front seat, not back seat, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's probably considerably more backseat customers than front seat customers.
So you got the academy going again, or going to go?
The Citizen Police Academy is, it'll be in its 3rd week this week.
Okay.
We only have 5 participants, unfortunately.
Really?
I was kind of discouraged by that, but we're going to forge ahead and go ahead and do that and continue to do it. I'm hoping that it will catch on at some point and, we'll have a room full of people.
Word of mouth, maybe, get around.
I'm hoping, and I was kind of hoping that the participants from last year would maybe recruit somebody to come this year, but we really didn't have very much luck with that either.
They went through this strenuous statutory law this past time, is that right?
No, they had the kinder, gentler presenter this time.
Someone who actually knows the law.
Right. Judge McDonough helped us out.
That's
with,
awesome. I'm glad he came in.
With this stat law and.
He called me afterwards and said, I nailed it. Judge McDonough.
So now you have to stay home from
He
now on?
probably believes he nailed it.
Yes, I'm quite sure he does. Just a couple of other observations about this. There's a mention in there about the Hunault trial and Detective Black being involved in that. That's actually a really big deal in the fact that that case was a winner is huge. This goes back to 2010, specifically Christmas Eve of 2010, when Mr. Hunault heinously attacked his wife out on the highway with a knife, stabbed her in the neck, and dumped her on the highway for dead. He did circle back around. We're not really sure why, and he was still at the scene when we finally arrived. But per the witnesses, he wasn't there when they first stopped to check on her. He came back after that. Anyway, to have gotten a conviction on that is a huge feather in the cap of not only Detective Black, but Detective Ferris was here at the time. He's since moved on to the private sector. But those guys worked all the way through Christmas Eve and Christmas Day to get him charged, and to have this finally resolved after 6 years is a big deal. So we're glad to see that off the books.
I'm going to take that a little step further and say the relationship they were able to establish with the victim is still felt today.
Sure.
The victim gave great compliments to the work and the follow-up work that's been done, and staying in contact with her. She was greatly appreciated.
Good. And that's as it should be, obviously. And then just a couple of informational items. Just a reminder, the fireworks stands have opened. And July 4th is just around the corner, but our policy now, since we opened up the slot, is absolute zero tolerance. If the police department catches anybody discharging fireworks outside of the 5 to 10 p.m. window on July 4th, we absolutely will issue a summons, and we absolutely will confiscate the fireworks. There's no question of that.
No courtesy notice this
There's
time.
no courtesy notices on fireworks. And Jimmy, if you would print that, I'd really appreciate it a lot for everybody to see. Did you get the quote? Okay. Yeah, that's a no question. We established that early on when we talked about the ordinance, and I am absolutely sticking to that.
Good.
So that's going to be our policy going forward. And just, again, the open window is 5 to 10 p.m. on July 4th. So save them up until then, shoot them all up in those 5 hours. Go crazy, folks. And, but outside of that, we are going to be all over it.
Okay, in case I didn't hear that, it's 5 to 10 on July.
5 to 10 p.m. That's right. Thank you, sir. And one last thing I have is an announcement. It's been on Facebook and other places, but we are doing another Tippecop July 16th. That's a Saturday, this time at El Jimador. That'll be from 5 to 9, July 16th at El Jimador, to benefit Special Olympics. So anybody that can come out, that would be greatly appreciated. And if you spot it on Facebook, please share it and invite others to come see it
Is
as
this
well.
the fundraiser to raise jerseys for?
It's not. We're going to actually do something else with that.
Okay.
We've been in communication with Kelly Clodfelter, who is the new director at Warren County Handicap Services, and she is trying to send all of her Special Olympians to state, something that apparently has kind of fell by the wayside in the past few years, and she has figured out how to cover all the expenses that she needs to get covered for that, with the exception of uniforms. So she asked the police department to partner with her and try to figure out a way to come up with those funds. So Officer Swafford, who is our school resource officer over at the middle school, he is our PR guy, and he's like, Chief, I've got this, and he's got several ideas now on paper, and we're going to move forward with a couple of those probably to get, all we're talking about is $1,000 to help them out, but to them it's huge. So we're going to do our part to try to help them make that a reality.
Did you have specific times on the Tippecop?
Is there a time frame on that Tippecop?
Tippecop is 5 to 9 p.m. on the 16th of July.
5 to 9. Okay. Thank you.
That's all I have.
I know we're down a few men, and with Detective Weber leaving, it's going to be hard to do interviews and such.
We're all right.
He didn't know we were losing an officer.
We're okay.
Or do we have any applicants? in
Well,
the
actually,
process?
yes, the process is underway. The backgrounds are already underway. He's working on those in his last week here. The other piece of good news, though, is Officer Unger, who left us a few weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, has decided to come back. So that's kind of a big deal.
Very big deal.
So he's actually going to start with us again on Friday. So that covers a gap right there, and
Quick gap, no training.
That's, yeah, absolutely. He'll walk right back in and go back to work.
Great. Oh, that's news to me.
Yeah.
And you don't have to get him uniforms, because
No, he's good. He literally pin the badge on and go to work. Yeah. Anything else? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, we have reached that time on the agenda for bills to ordinance. I'll entertain a motion for first reading of bill number 18-16.
Make a motion to, for first reading of bill number 18-16.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Ock, seconded by Alderman Miller.
An ordinance authorizing execution of an agreement between Agape Ministry and the City of Warrenton, Missouri.
We'll entertain a motion for second reading passage of bill number 18-16.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Deloy, seconded by Alderman Ock.
An ordinance authorizing execution of an agreement between Agape Ministry and the City of Warrenton, Missouri.
Roll call vote, please.
Alderman
Roll call
Miller?
vote, please.
Yes.
Alderman Schultz?
Yes.
Alderman Shell Harvey?
Yes.
Alderperson Casterly?
Yes.
Alderman Ock?
Yes.
Alderman Deloy.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0. Entertain a motion for the first reading of bill number 19-16.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Miller, seconded by Alderman Schultz.
An ordinance authorizing execution of an agreement between Warren County Council on Aging and the City of Warrenton, Missouri.
Entertain a motion for second reading and passage of bill number 19-16.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Shell Harvey, seconded by Alderman Miller. Roll call, I'm sorry.
An ordinance authorizing execution of an agreement between Warren County Council on Aging and the City of Warrenton, Missouri.
Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Schultz?
Yes.
Alderman Shell Harvey?
Yes.
Alderperson Casterly?
Yes.
Alderman Ock?
Yes.
Alderman Deloy.
Yes.
Alderman Miller.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0. Entertain a motion for the first reading of bill number 20-16.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Deloy, seconded by Alderman Schultz.
An ordinance authorizing execution of an intergovernmental cooperation agreement between Warren County R3 School District and the City of Warrenton, Missouri for school crossing guards.
Entertain a motion for the second reading and passage of bill number 20-16.
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Alderman Schultz, seconded by Alderman Shell Harvey.
An ordinance authorizing execution of an intergovernmental cooperation agreement between Warren County R3 School District and the City of Warrenton, Missouri for school crossing guards.
Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Shell Harvey?
Yes.
Alderperson Casterly?
Yes.
Alderman Ock?
Yes.
Alderman Deloy.
Yes.
Alderman Miller.
Yes.
Alderman Schultz.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0. Entertain a motion for the first reading of bill number 21-16.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Miller, seconded by Alderman Schultz.
An ordinance authorizing execution of an intergovernmental cooperative agreement between the Warren County R3 School District and the City of Warrenton, Missouri for school resource officers.
I'll entertain a motion for second reading and passage of bill number 21-16.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Deloy, seconded by Alderman Miller.
An ordinance authorizing execution of an intergovernmental cooperative agreement between the Warren County R3 School District and the City of Warrenton, Missouri for school resource officers.
Roll call vote, please.
Alderperson Casterly?
Yes.
Alderman Ock?
Yes.
Alderman Deloy.
Yes.
Alderman Miller.
Yes.
Alderman Schultz.
Yes.
Alderman Shell Harvey.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0. I'll entertain a motion for the first reading of bill number 22-16.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Ock, seconded by Alderman Shell Harvey.
An ordinance authorizing execution of an intergovernmental cooperative agreement between Warren County R3 School District and the City of Warrenton, Missouri for security services.
Entertain a motion for the second reading and passage of bill number 22-16.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Shell Harvey, seconded by Alderman Miller.
An ordinance authorizing execution of an intergovernmental cooperative agreement between Warren County R3 School District and the City of Warrenton, Missouri for security services.
Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Ock?
Yes.
Alderman Deloy.
Yes.
Alderman Miller.
Yes.
Alderman Schultz.
Yes.
Alderman Shell Harvey.
Yes.
Alderperson Casterly.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0. I'll entertain a motion for first reading of bill number 23-16.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Ock, seconded by Alderman Schultz.
An ordinance adopting an annual budget for the fiscal year beginning on July 1st, 2016, and appropriating funds pursuant thereto.
Entertain a motion for the second reading and passage of bill number 23-16.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Miller, seconded by Alderman Shell Harvey.
An ordinance adopting an annual budget for the fiscal year beginning on July 1st, 2016, and appropriating funds pursuant thereto.
Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Deloy,
Yes.
Alderman Miller,
Yes.
Alderman Schultz,
Yes.
Alderman Shell Harvey,
Yes.
Alderperson Casterly,
Yes.
Alderman Ock.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0. I'll entertain a motion for first reading of bill number 24-16.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Shell Harvey, seconded by Alderman Schultz.
An ordinance of the City of Warrenton, Missouri imposing a moratorium on the placement of mobile homes or manufactured homes older than 10 years within its municipal boundaries.
I'll entertain a motion for the second reading and passage of bill number 24-16.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion made by Alderman Deloy, seconded by Alderman Schultz.
An ordinance of the City of Warrenton, Missouri imposing a moratorium on the placement of mobile homes or manufactured homes older than 10 years within its municipal boundaries.
Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Miller,
Yes.
Alderman Schultz,
Yes.
Alderman Shell Harvey,
Yes.
Alderperson Casterly,
Yes.
Alderman Ock,
Yes.
Alderman Deloy.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0. Thank you. Okay, they've come to the portion of adjournment, so all those in favor for adjournment of the Board of Aldermen meeting for Tuesday, June 21st, 2016, say aye. I'm sorry, roll call vote. Our motion.
I make a motion for adjournment.
I'll second.
Motion made by Alderman Ock, seconded by Alderman Miller. I apologize about that,
He's getting in a
guys.
hurry.
No, actually, it was on it. All those in favor say aye. We do have the majority.